wigs, drill curls. Ooh. I made not one, not two, not three, but 4 drill curl wigs. Now with every video, oh my god, I'm Komiko. I'm a novice cosplayer and I have no idea what I'm doing. Now the first thing that we want to do is make a shaped, structured wig base. That is going to ensure that you do not want to throw that wig off your head as soon as you get to the convention. The method that I recommend that I've used for this wig and for my Shadow Heart wig is Foss shape. I recommend that you watch Sarah Spaceman's Teto wig tutorial. Foss shape is like, it's very expensive. I think it's like $30 a yard. You can make multiple wigs with it, but I really like this method because then you can sew a wig pattern for your wig. So to make that, we're going to make a tape pattern that's custom fit to our head. If you have coarse hair like me, don't pull your hair back. Like actually pull your hair into a wig cap and make that shape of your head. That's going to be the most accurate shape, but instead of putting it on our wig head, we're going to cut it out and use that as the pattern pieces for our wig. I cut it down the middle and then I cut side seams out. And then we're gonna sew our Foss shape together. Okay, I forgot to say this in the video, but there is a cheaper option to Foss shape that you can use in making your wig base. And that option is cotton batting. So I'll go ahead and talk about that now. I had to figure this out, but there are 2 different materials for cotton batting. There is cotton-based cotton batting that's used for actual quilts, and then there's polyester cotton batting. You need polyester-based cotton batting. That's the one that you can heat gun, form a hard shape. Cotton batting will not do that. You need polyester-based cotton batting. So however method you do it, you can do this. I ended up dyeing my Foss shape and I'll show you how I did it, but I don't recommend it. Foss shape hardens when it's hot and you have to boil it to get to that shape. So I'd recommend spray painting it or airbrushing it or whatever. Use a dye pot that you do not plan on eating food out of. I heat mine up in a kettle in order to get it to go faster. Then you're going to add in your dye. You can always add more dye in later. Use a test swatch. And I also recommend wetting your Foss shape before you dye it. It takes to the dye a lot better. Cut your pattern pieces out if you have a smaller pot like me, or otherwise you can throw the whole thing in there if you know you're gonna need it for this particular project. But I recommend sewing your Foss shape and then dyeing it. Set it out to dry, and then once it's hardened, don't panic. Put it on your wig head and just smooth the steamer over it and it'll shape itself into the shape that you want it to. Don't panic. I've tried using a heat gun and a steamer, and the steamer just works better because it doesn't burn it, and it also gets the underside of the Foss shape as well, which is what you really want. The entire mantra of this video is trust the process and trust yourself. Wigs be looking real crazy to the very, very end, so trust yourself. Now that we have our wig base, we are actually going to make the wefts. What you're going to want to do is crimp your wigs. You need a crimper. You can buy a really cheap $15 one from the beauty supply store. What you want to do is, instead of pulling your hair out horizontally, pull out vertical sections and crimp it. You want to hold it for several seconds and then go down the entire shaft of the wig hair. Once it's there and it's still fully hot, I have a really crusty brush that I use, but you're going to brush your hair out before it fully cools, and that kind of helps to minimize the crimping. This gets you that really thick texture that's really helpful for manipulating the hair, and if you don't have a lot of wefts to work with, like I did for this wig, it also helps you cut down on how many wefts you need for each section. So I've used Arta Wig, Epic Cosplay Wigs, and Map of Beauty wefts for all of my hair. And I will say Arta Wigs is probably my favorite one of the bunch. It just has very, very nice fibers. But you can use whichever one you want. Map of Beauty wigs are very cheap. I've used them before and they work just fine. Now that we have our wig crimped, we are going to make wefts. What I recommend is getting a silicone mat and a silicone brush and Uhu glue. It is German, but you can buy it really easily in the US. I get the 3-pack off of Amazon. These are not required methods. You can use your hand or little silicone finger nubs, but this is just what I recommend. It makes it really easy. Cut your wefts out. I cut mine straight, but you can feather them out if you're using them for like a hairline. You're gonna hold your weft taut in your hand and brush the Uhu glue through it. And then I let these sit out to dry for at least 5 minutes before I manipulate them. But I find Uhu glue dries fully within like 10 to 20 minutes. Now that we have all of our wefts of both wigs, for Miku specifically, I used mint for the lighter parts of the curls at the end, and I used soft green wefts for the green parts of the base wig and the top parts of the drills for this specific project. The little tufts of hair at the bottom, for those, I actually grabbed scrapped pieces and glued those on. Now that we're done with that, we're going to work on the part of the wig. There are multiple ways that you can do this. I'll show you 2 ways that I've done it. The first one is the way where you glue extra pieces of cotton batting and you add a slit in the middle. We can start gluing them. What I do is I glue the hot glue to the very edge of the glued part of the weft. Once I'm confident it's fully dry, we are going to fold it over and I'm gonna see where that hair wants to sit. If there's any excess hair, go ahead and cut it off. You want to do a moving motion like this, gives you a nice feathered edge. Once you've trimmed your hair, glue copious amounts of clear tacky glue. You can use whatever, but I like clear tacky glue. Glue where you want to glue the weft, fold it over, and then smooth it over with either Uhu glue for extra hold or Got2b glue for semi-light hold. And you can also go through with the hair dryer to speed up the process of the glue drying. The other method you can do that you'll see me using here for the top of the head is Delightful's way of gluing her wefts to her dolls. If you want it to fold this way, glue it this way. Glue it down, then all you have to do is fold it back, and it also gives the similar illusion to the other method. And we will get slowly but surely to the finished back. Now for the front. This part I find to be a little bit easier. We're not gonna worry about how crazy it looks. We are just gonna start gluing hair. Start from the sideburns and glue upwards. And for the bangs, start from the edge of the bang and move upward. Once you have all of your wefts added, then you can go ahead and trim it. If you have a wig head that has eyes on it, you probably won't need to do this step, but I end up wearing my wigs and trying them on while I cut them just to make sure I have the right length. All right, make sure you cut it a little bit shorter than you think you'll need, because most bangs you can curl so that they give the length that you want. So they're gonna end up being shorter anyway. Now that we have that, this is the Chi Lava flat iron. This thing gets really hot, so I wouldn't recommend it for cheaper wigs. Just get yourself a flat iron and go ahead and curl into place. And then trimming any flyaways, anything that you see, and that's how we're going to make the base wig. So for my Miku wig, I ended up using a screw and nut attachment to attach the drills, but I've also made PVC pipe attachments and I've made bottle cap attachments. Just try them all out and see which one you like better. All right, so the last thing we're gonna do to the base wig is I just bought some regular tinsel. I bought silver tinsel from Amazon, and then I'm just going to use Uhu glue to glue these directly onto the wig. Now for the part you're waiting for. How do you make these drill curls? The 2 videos that I recommend that you watch are Sarah Spaceman's Teto wig tutorial and Arta wigs tutorial. I think they're making Mami Tomoe. Now, the first and most traditional way is to do the galvanized steel wire, the tape in between it. There is no method to the madness with making them. It takes forever to prepare all of the tape pieces. Just give yourself breaks. The other way is to use galvanized steel wire. This way is a lot faster. This wig is made with galvanized steel wire, but it is reinforce it with 2 extra strips steel wire to help it hold its shape properly. Definitely make them longer than you think you might need. They're going to get significantly smaller as you curl them, so pre-measure them beforehand. For my Miku wig, it is 120 inches long on either side. You can use cotton batting around the wig. I've never had any luck with it. All right, so now that we have our pieces ready, we are going to use our feathered wig wefts to glue the wigs on. So the key to getting the inside of the wig clean and crisp is to curl it as you go. So here you will see me hot gluing the base to the very top of the wig, then gluing the bottom parts and then smoothing it out. For the inside, I recommend that you coat it with Uhu glue. You want that ultra strength, not going anywhere kind of hold. As you do that, again, you are gonna curl it as you go. Miku's wig is very long, so I ended up using my drying rack to help the wig hold its shape while I curled as I go. Now, once you get to a point where you're about to run out of wefts, give yourself about an inch and and then glue the weft to where your hair is about to end to hot glue, and then just use tacky glue on the top part of your second weft to smooth the hair so that it has a nice gradual transition. No gradient dyeing required. Once you get to the very bottom, let your drill completely dry overnight. In the morning, we're going to curl those pieces together. I use any kind of household item to help you get a very symmetrical shape. We're gonna curl as we go, and then we're gonna end up with the shape like this. So now we're at the easy part, which is gluing hair on the outer side of the drill. We're gonna use that same method, but instead of gluing the entirety of it with hot glue, we're going to use tacky glue this time. And we're going to tack it with hairspray since it doesn't need to be as strong. Those little metal duck clips, those can really help the hair stay in place as you go. So now that we know how to do a base drill curl, let's talk lights. So I ended up using LED lights for my Miku wig because I wanted it to shine at my performance at Holiday Matsuri. I think the longest one I could find in a single strip was a 10-inch LED strip. There is a little sticky tape that comes on the back of them. Those suck. I actually recommend either tacky gluing them or hot gluing them down. Afterwards, we're going to glue the hair on top of it, and be very careful because they're LED strips and they're very fragile. So, an update on the wig. I'm almost done with it. And when I was doing a test for the lights, this is probably about the third or fourth test that I did, I realized that one of the LED strips ripped clean right at the connecting wires. This is the second time that this happened. I already bought an LED strip and it was literally coated and it's still ripped. I don't even know how this is happening. I went to the only place that would give me decent advice. Obviously, I went to Reddit. Okay, I'm not an electrician, so I'm not gonna explain this very well. But there are little copper strips. And these are the only places where you can cut the strip and not compromise the lights. This piece needs to be soldered to the strip here. I'm really hopeful that it'll work just because I really want this to work, especially considering the other drill is just fine. If it works though, I am absolutely going to show you guys how that is done because there's not a lot of videos on how to connect stuff directly to the wire port. And if you follow this tutorial or try to add lights to your wig too, and you're also not an electrician like I am, then I want you guys to be able to learn from what I did, because from what I've seen on Reddit, this happens a lot. So wish me luck.
Working with hair and solder that's not something that combines unless you're in cosplay.
So what we're gonna do is called soldering. It's not hard to do, trust yourself. What we're going to do is connect the LED strip cut line to the power source. So you're going to look for the copper strip. They're little brown scallop pieces that have letters on them. You're going to get your solder and make sure the tip is nice and clean. Grab the little piece of the solder and add it to the copper strip that you want to connect it to. Then all you need to do is hold the iron to the solder and connect it to the piece. That heats it up enough so that you can fit the power source to it. For my strip, it was all one piece, so I kind of found that I needed to heat them up almost simultaneously to get them all to fit at the same time. Just work slow and you will get through it. Oh, I guess I need the remote, huh?
I was waiting for it to light up. It's almost over there. What you have to do?
It works! Yay! Awesome, we have lights in our wig now. So the next thing that I highly recommend making for your wig are tulle strips. These are something that I've learned from Sailor Moon cosplayers. They are literally just strips of tulle that you add over your wig to forever keep it from tangling. All we are going to do is sew a strip. Once you have that on, you're going to kind of feed that over the drill curl. Once you get it past that initial point, it's a lot easier to do. The other thing I kind of argue tulle is like concealer for your wig, because if you have any fray hairs that just don't want to act right, the tulle kind of forces them to stay in a uniform shape. Awesome. Now for the cute little flowers. These get hot glued on to tack them on, and then I added tacky glue on them for extra strength. A lot of them have leaves on them. So let me show you how I made these leaves. These are made out of very thin pieces of of EVA foam. I scored them with a box cutter, and then I'm gonna use the heat gun to make those scores a little bit more prevalent, like the actual texture of leaves. Then I'm going to coat these in about 4 coats of green acrylic paint, and then I'm going to sew these directly onto the roses. Position them where I want them to go, and then I'm gonna glue them directly onto the wig. This is the wig. And that is pretty much how I make drill curl wigs. See? It wasn't as hard as you think it was. The most important part is just to trust yourself with these wigs. Maybe you'll love making drill curls as much as I do. If this video helps you make your own drill curl wig, please let me know in the comments section. And I forgot to say this in my last video, but if you're making something while watching this video, please let me know. I'm extremely nosy and I love hearing about other people's interests. Feel free to like and subscribe so that you can be notified when I do make another video. And if you want to stay up to date on the cosplays I'm working on, I am more active on my Instagram, which is komiko_cosplay. But if you want me to show you more community tabs or shorts on how I make up-to-date stuff on my cosplays, please let me know, because that's absolutely something I can deliver. And I hope you, yes you, have a wonderful day.